All right, we're live. Again, y'all got to retweet. It's like normal here.
I hate when the first part of every video is us looking down.
I hate to tell you.
We told them to hang tight, man. We're working overtime today.
We are live as Auburn has reportedly hired Hugh Freeze as their football coach. Multiple reports this has happened and this is going down.
Hey, let me show you that real quick.
What? Okay, hang on. We got a.
So do you want to make that later?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, can I just? I'm gonna share that real quick.
Yeah.
Sorry, we've got a lot going on here.
Special guest tomorrow. What we like to call an emergency press conference here. Is that what we call this?
This is it.
That would be plagiarizing, but yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Lance.
Our friends at Barstool do that all the time. We love them. They have been killing. The Mississippi boys have been killing the Hugh Freeze hire.
What do you mean killing it?
Brandon Walker, the Mississippi State guy, and Mitzi, the Ole Miss guy, they've been killing the Hugh Freeze to Auburn.
Oh, Mitzi doesn't like it?
No, I mean, that's what you would expect. I mean, two SEC rivals, they're going to hate on the hire, right? They're Mississippi and Mississippi State. They're going to hate because they're scared that Hugh Freeze is going to do it all.
How did he do against Mississippi State?
I can't remember.
Do you remember?
Not as good as he did it against Ole Miss. I mean, against Alabama.
Yeah, he beat Alabama twice. Hugh Freeze did.
But he was up against Dan Mullen, not Mike Leach, so that there's a difference.
Yeah, but I think Mullen did a better job than Leach, right?
That's what he's saying. Yeah. It's easier to beat Mike Leach than it is Dan Mullen.
Okay.
So what's everybody think? What do you think, Lance? You said they ought to do this instead of Kiffin.
Yeah. Now, Dunaway did make a great point, which I'll let you elaborate on here in a second. Like, I think Hugh Freeze, the realistic cultural fit for me the entire time was Hugh Freeze. I think he's a good football coach. I don't know what happened the last 3 weeks at Liberty. That's inexcusable. Same thing happened, I guess, with Lane in Oxford. But I think it's a great hire. I think he will put everything into this program. I think it's a destination job for him. I think he wants to retire there. Whether or not it works out, we'll see. Coaches typically don't retire there.
But he just built a lake house, he bought the land.
Lake Martin.
He's all in.
He fishes, he hunts, all that kind of stuff. I mean, he'll fit in perfectly. You did have a great point, though. So as well as I think the fit is, I kind of agree with what you said, though.
Well, remind me, because I've been joking with our friend Taylor about a lot of things.
And he had a bourbon. So, so what you said was, Hugh Freeze is going to take this job at any point.
That's right.
If you're John Cohen, why not?
No, you're saying you can always come back to Hugh Freeze.
Yeah, my point is I would have slow played this, and you could have hired him on December 26th if you didn't find anybody you want. I know signing day is coming up, but I would let Carnell be recruiting Auburn, be out there, and I'd be sitting back and I'd be taking the Mal Moore approach. Who's the best guy out there? And you would just go and talk to everybody. I mean, if you think it's Urban Meyer, he's going to say no, but you go and talk to Urban Meyer. If you think it's the guy who's Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore is calling plays for the Cowboys. You think maybe he wants to get in with the college? You go talk to Kellen Moore. Whoever the best guy is, you go make your pitch. And on December 24th, if you wanted to, you can go unwrap this package.
No, that is a good point. But Brown, I don't know who would have taken this job. I mean, there's more. There's more internal.
This job is a
great job. It's a top 20 job. But all I'm saying is there's some internal workings that you've got to be able to deal with. And there's certain coaches that can't.
Hugh Freeze is beloved by the boosters who are always considered the problem. This is their guy.
Yeah.
So
this is a Pat Dye group hire.
Yeah, this is the Jimmy Rain, Pat Dye group. This is old school Auburn's hire. This is their guy.
This is the first time I think they've gotten it right. Now, I could be wrong. I've been wrong on a lot of these. But I think they got it right here. Now, whether that equates to winning a national championship, I ain't saying that. But I'm saying being very competitive, winning 10 games. I'll say this. Hugh Freeze will win 10 games back-to-back seasons at Auburn for the first time since '88.
Well, these are facts, right? Auburn has an unbelievable fan base, loyal, unbelievable fan base. True?
Until they hired Hugh Freeze today, and some of them were a little beat up.
They've done it. Well, they usually get over it pretty quickly. The NIL is in a great shape. We hear
looks like it's grown. They've grown that. Yeah,
you just built a great new facility down there that you can sell. And if you've got the boosters who are pulling you or pushing you in the right direction and not pulling against you, like has been the case the last couple of guys they've had down there, then that place can be a really special place. You can do anything at Auburn if everybody's pulling in the right direction. And if Hugh Freeze is the trouble people's guy, then the door is open. Potential is very high for Hugh Freeze because you guys think he's a better football coach than Lane Kiffin. I think Lane's a better play caller.
I agree with that.
I think Lane's a better image for your program. I think
I don't
Lane's
know if I agree with that.
I think Lane's a better television spot. He's on game day better than Hugh is. There's a lot of things I think Lane was better at, but Hugh is a football coach. He's old school Southern football coach.
I mean, this is a guy that was so dedicated to his craft. He did not only coach the game in a hospital bed, also a dental chair.
That is correct. He did both those. Yep.
Yeah, Lane would have been tweeting from his couch. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Nick Saban and Deion Sanders act like they need Aflac. Hugh Freeze needed
They
Aflac.
legitimately needed it. Yeah, you're right.
And he coached through it. It worked out
Blake
really good.
says, LT, will he win a championship at Auburn?
Well, I mean, looking at it like this. So
let's go SEC and
okay.
Well, let's put your money where your mouth is. You gave me Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss never would win 9 games twice.
Right.
Would you give me Hugh Freeze 9 games at Auburn twice?
I will say no. You're the one that didn't like Hugh. Let me take Hugh for 9 wins twice. What are you? Or now you're doing a 180?
No. I like the other side, but I will do that. I'll go stake that Hugh never wins 9 games twice.
Yep.
And you get
not back to back, just twice.
Just twice.
2 9-win seasons.
Yeah. I think this is a long-term hire unless something crazy off the field was to happen. And I think, honestly, that ship has sailed.
Oh, yeah. Second chance.
Yeah, I think whatever demons were there, I think he's cleared that up. As far as the championship, so in the last 13 years, Auburn's played for 2 national championships. They've won 1. He's a much better coach than Chizik. I think he's personally better than Gus Malzahn. Time will tell. I think
Lunsford with this stat that while at Ole Miss and Gus at Auburn, in 5 years, whatever the time there, Hugh Freeze did not win as many games at Ole Miss as Gus won at Auburn.
Okay.
Auburn, 4.5 losses on average, 5 losses on average. Gus slightly a better record while he was at Auburn than Hugh at Ole Miss.
But I do think Auburn was in a little bit better spot then, and Ole Miss might be in a little bit better of a spot now. So Hugh's got some work to do. I don't think there's any doubt. I think Hugh will. This is tough because you've got Brian Kelly, you've got Lane Kiffin. Those programs are both better. Sam Pittman's got Arkansas in a better spot. No, Brittany doesn't want to hear this, but Mike Leach has still got them steady Eddie. He came in 3rd in the SEC West this year.
He did.
Or maybe even 2nd.
Well, I mean, it depends on how you. Did they beat Arkansas? No, wait a minute, not Arkansas. Did they beat
LSU?
No. Second in the West is Alabama, by the way.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
LSU's 1.
Yeah.
LSU's 1, Alabama's 2, Mississippi State's 3.
Yeah.
Still, it's going to be interesting to see what happens to A&M. With all that said, it's still the toughest division in all of football, or was the toughest division. We're about to go a full conference. Texas, Oklahoma coming in. I don't know, man. That conference is so damn tough. But I feel better about Lane Kiffin better about Hugh Freeze than I would have Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, you were not on Lane Kiffin from the get-go. I mean, a lot of people were fired up about that one. You were negative on that one from the get-go.
I just think you
called him a joker.
Well, no, I think he's done a really good job at Ole Miss. I think he seems like a fun guy. He's entertaining. I just don't think he would work well with the infrastructure at Auburn. That's my whole thing.
I would agree with that. And Hugh will. Hugh's the infrastructure guy.
Yeah.
We got comments?
Yep, just did one. So SEC championship? No? Yes? No?
I'll say he gets one.
National championship?
I mean, he's going to be in play for one. I think he'll get an SEC championship. He'll get you to a college football playoff. By then, hell.
I mean, keep in mind, he'll be coaching in the expanded playoff.
Never mind. Yeah, he's gonna get Auburn to a multiple college football playoffs.
All right, that's a good hire.
Yeah, and I don't know if he'll win an SEC championship. It doesn't really matter at that point.
That's right. It's about making the playoffs.
Yeah, Corey says he's only a candidate because of 2 wins against Saban. I don't think he's only a candidate.
That helps.
But what percentage of that do you think it is?
Oh, I think Hugh Freeze is on everybody's radar because he beat Alabama twice.
He beat him back-to-back years. Nobody else has done that. Who else has beaten Saban back-to-back years?
Nobody's ever done it.
Yeah.
Was it Bo Wallace and Chad Kelly?
Yeah. Swag Kelly. Bryant Denny, one of those.
Yeah. I mean, my God, nothing weird happened in that game either.
No, it was a wild game.
I mean, balls didn't bounce off helmets and fumbles on kickoffs. But start the wrong quarterback.
If we're going to take that into account, we talk about Hugh never won a championship. A 4th and 26, one of the wildest plays we've ever seen.
Yep. 2nd and 26.
No, it was
4th.
Oh,
it was 4th and 26.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Ole Miss Arkansas game.
That was
good. It was Hunter Henry throwing to Alex Collins. Right?
Yeah, it just completely throws it over his head.
There's 21 other guys on the field. The best guy can go to
bounces straight to him on the fly.
Right.
They could play that play 1,000 times again. It wouldn't work.
Not again.
They would have gone to Atlanta that year. Who would they have played?
Oh gosh, Alabama went and played Florida.
Yeah, and so Ole Miss would have won.
Yeah, they'd have won the SEC.
So does that mean they would have played for a national championship that year?
Ooh, I don't know.
The SEC, yeah.
You know what's weird about that? All right, unless I've got my years confused, that year they got run out of the swamp by Florida. Do you remember that? It was like 35-3 or something. And then Alabama ended up playing Florida in the SEC championship and running them out.
56-14.
Something like that. If I've got all my years aligned here, that's how.
So what year do we think that was? 14?
That was 14 because it's what got Alabama the college football playoff.
Yeah, so Ole Miss would have been in.
Yeah.
Oh, that may have been the Missouri year then. 14.
Could have been. Christian says y'all acting like Saban wasn't trying to hire Freeze 4 years ago as OC.
Oh, 100%. 100% he was.
I mean, the guy can recruit. I think most people and Auburn fans, you probably want to hear this. I mean, talking to people that are in the recruiting think that he's actually a better recruiter than Kiffin.
I don't think Kiffin's a tireless recruiter at all. I think Kiffin loves that transfer portal, and he did a lot in it because it was, I don't want to say easier, but it wasn't on the road recruiting.
Well, you've already let somebody else do the legwork getting them in
That's
school,
right.
Then you're able to watch their college football tape, and then you're able to go and pick them out like you do in the NFL. Somebody else has already done the hard stuff to decide whether this guy is a college football player. Now you're just picking who's the available best college football player.
I've kind of got your take on that. I mean, where are you on this hire? Like, if you had to give it a grade right now.
I'd give it a B. Yeah, I mean, I think he's a proven SEC coach. You know what you're getting, right? I'm not saying he's a proven great SEC coach, but you know what you're getting.
But this is the best job he's ever had.
It is the best job he's ever had. But you know what you're getting in him. I don't think it's not like some young guy you're taking a flyer on. You know what Hugh Freeze is. You know, there's two types of baggage with him. There's the baggage of his personal life baggage, which I'm okay with. And there's the baggage of him texting, you know, behind the scenes, a girl that, a young lady at Liberty that's claiming sexual assault. I mean, that's a serious allegation.
But obviously they vetted that. I think in today's time, especially when that came out this weekend, I thought that was probably going to be the death knell for him.
Yeah.
But they had to have done their due diligence to make sure nothing blows back, because there is nothing worse than going through with a hire and then having to fire him in a week.
Well, can I just tell you, I'm a public relations minor.
Right. Yeah, we hear this.
Can I
get it wrong so often too.
I can just tell you that in the public relations world, if there is one or two texts that have been made public, your biggest concern is always
the ones that have it.
The one or two texts that they have not made
and
public.
Listen, if there's somebody that holds a grudge against this guy, this is the time. And this is when they'll.
You actually sit on it for a couple of weeks, don't you?
Well, I just mean this hire is when they'll air the dirty laundry. It's not the Liberty hire. It's his big hire. If there is that out there, and I don't know if there is. And listen, there's people that throw stuff around about when he was at Briarcrest, and that stuff has never been proven true. So I'm very uncomfortable even talking about it.
No.
But I mean, stuff gets thrown around. So you can anticipate more of that because he's obviously made some enemies over the years. So people will bring that stuff out of the woodwork.
The only thing that you really can hold against Hugh Freeze that you know to be factual, everything else is internet rumor, is one, he was part of a coaching staff that committed 15 level 1 violations at Ole Miss, and Ole Miss was not going to fire him. They were going to stand behind him, serve their penalties, fight the NCAA, take their medicine, and keep Hugh Freeze as a coach. And it was when the university cell phone used to call escorts, that's when Ole Miss bailed on him. It was the escort phone calls, not the 15 level 1 violations. And by the way, those 15 level 1 violations does not add up to a hill of beans of NIL money. Those things are all legal now, and it is not a problem.
And from what I'm told, that was the classic turning a parking ticket into a murder investigation. By the way, Ole Miss and Hugh Freeze handled that. I think that was the sin in it, was when the NCAA showed up, the stance they took. Yeah. Well, it wasn't just fighting them. I think they were belligerent.
Yeah.
When I think that ultimately got him busted on the phone call.
Oh, right? Yeah, absolutely. All that stuff, it all kind of snowballed. And it was when the phone records got requested that those calls started showing up, and they had to account for what those calls were, and they were not good.
I've only needed a burner phone once in my life.
Oh, and tell the story.
And we didn't use it.
Hey, not the Mystery Fifth Hour.
Wait, we didn't use it.
We didn't use it then.
Yeah.
You've always taught me why people don't use burner phones. Why was he using the university cell phone?
I mean, again, that questions a little bit of the decision making. I don't understand.
How many coaches have been popped this way, though? I mean, it's time and time again.
Yeah, I mean, Houston, I got popped this way.
But it is a hassle to carry 2 phones around.
Not
that I've ever done it.
But if you confuse the two, it could be a mess.
Yeah.
Lamb Believer says Bama better go get Pruitt. If Auburn can hire Bruce and Freeze, Bama needs to bring back Pruitt. I do wonder if this, because supposedly,
who said that first, Brownie?
Jim Dunaway said it first, everyone. Supposedly the hesitation in hiring Freeze has always been the SEC has not approved it or has stood in the way of it or actively fought it, whatever, because Ole Miss was still serving probation. And now that they're past that and they're on the other side of it and they're thriving, maybe the SEC has relaxed that stance a little bit. You wonder about Pruitt, with the Tennessee stuff still out there. But if I'm Nick Saban and I want to hire Jeremy Pruitt,
I'm like, well, you just gave the green light on. Hugh.
One of our listeners though and viewers gave us the ultimate clapback. Is like you freaking DJ Durkin is in this league. A player died under his watch, and you're not going to let me hire Jeremy Pruitt?
I will be fascinated. We know he's going to retain Cadillac, which is a great move. Obviously, you got to have some stability there.
Move,
it'll be interesting. I assume Cadillac will want to stay, and they're going to make it really for his benefit to stay.
I would think. I think when Cadillac sits down with Hugh, he's going to enjoy the offense, that kind of stuff. The other thing, though, obviously Hugh calls his own plays. Who he's going to hire as defensive coordinator?
Yeah,
and Jeremy Pruitt is a guy that is one of the best to ever do it.
Now, rumor has it that Jeremy Pruitt, going back to his high school days, hates Auburn so much. Money talks, and he probably hated Tennessee too.
Especially a guy who needs an opportunity. Yeah, and he needs to get back in sooner rather than later. I'd always heard that if he and Lane were friends, Jeremy Pruitt, and if Lane had taken the Auburn job, one of the first calls he was going to be to see if he could get Jeremy Pruitt.
Well, I mean, I'd make the call, but I'd also make the call to Jim Leonard now that he didn't get the Wisconsin job. He's a great defense coordinator.
Clay says Hugh wins with less talent. Actually, no, he brought NFL talent to Ole Miss. I mean, Robert Kimdichie was a high draft
Laramie
pick.
Tunsil,
Laquan Treadwell.
He brought A.J. Brown, too.
Yeah, A.J. Brown. DK Metcalf.
Oh, yeah, DK Metcalf.
I mean, look at there was NFL talent on that roster.
Those receivers are
and even Chad Kelly.
He never had bad quarterback play.
No, he didn't. Yeah, Chad Kelly, Brittany's point out, he was in the Grey Cup. He just won the CFL and was on an NFL roster for a little bit. I mean, Chad Kelly was a good quarterback.
Yeah, even down to his third string quarterback this year, they were winning games up until, I guess, he started to talk to Auburn.
Yeah.
Man, there is nothing more of a distraction than when a coach starts talking to another program.
There's no doubt.
I mean, just think of when you've got the job, you start looking at houses, you got to move, and the coaches start acting different in the building because they want to go with you or they want to get your job and, move up the ladder. Nobody's doing their job anymore. Everybody's thinking about what we're doing in December.
Jay Mose says, wow, Auburn loves some former Arkansas State Ole Miss coaches. They do.
That scenario is crazy.
That connection's wild.
Gus Malzahn, Brian Harsin, and now Hugh Freeze have all coached at Arkansas State.
Well, and Tommy Tuberville and Ole Miss.
Yeah, Tuberville and Hugh Freeze, Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And they tried to hire Lane Kiffin from Ole Miss, who never coached Arkansas State, but he checked the Ole Miss box.
So good news for Butch Jones. He's currently at Arkansas State somewhere. Someday he's going to be the Auburn head coach.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny that some Auburn fans are so pissed about this.
Me?
I find it interesting. Taylor.
Little T over here.
Taylor, do you want to jump in here real quick and give your
you want to take my mic? You want to sit down?
You can take mine. Come here.
All right.
Taylor Korn.
Taylor Korn is our social media director.
Her employee badge number is 10. She's our 10th employee.
Honestly, for a 22-year-old, you are one of the biggest Auburn fans I know. And that's a bold statement.
That is a bold statement.
And she says, thank you.
Yeah. She was not happy. Brown's got video. We don't know if we'll release it or not. Have you released it, Brown?
Nope.
Again, tip of the cap to Barstool. They're always really good when they're a Met fan or Philly fan or Yankee fan or somebody gets really upset. They're rolling all the time. And we were rolling as Taylor was reacting to Hugh Freeze earlier. Taylor Korn with the microphone. You don't have to run it up in there. Just clip it on there. This is very relaxed. So you're take a swig of your beer.
Okay.
Calm down a little bit. You did not want Hugh Freeze to be your head coach.
Correct.
As Brown comes back into the shot, what was your initial reaction when Brown said we were all putting up Christmas decorations?
Well, they were. I was.
And you've not hung one Christmas decoration since this announcement. When you heard Hugh Freeze was the guy, what was your reaction?
Heartbreak, kind of.
Why heartbreak, T?
I wanted a splash hire, someone big, a big. Well, he is a big name, but I had my mind set on who I wanted, and like I said earlier, I set myself up for disappointment because I was like very narrowed in on one or two people. So, I mean, obviously, my opinion isn't going to be. I want who I want, but not for the same reasons that John Cohen probably wants who he wants. So, going into it, I should have known that I was going to feel like this.
Checkpoints. Was it 39?
58.
58. Like, can anyone meet all 58? I don't know. Apparently, or at least half. I don't
So
know.
your favorite two were who?
My number one since day one, since before Brian Harsin got fired, was Deion Sanders. That's why, and I
You
still
wanted prime time.
yeah.
Why did you want prime time?
I feel like he's recruiting players at a school that doesn't have much to offer.
He had a 5-star running back, the number one running back in the country, picked Jackson State over anywhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
And then thinking about how much Auburn does have, and I mean, like the new facility that they just cut the ribbon on,
You
or
could have easily
whatever.
sold it, yeah.
Right. So it's like he'll have all of these bonus things that will be beneficial, and at a bigger school. It's an SEC school. And so in my mind, I'm like, if he can have success there, then why not give him a shot? And if we're not going to get, I don't know. The players respect him. He has standards, and he holds the kids accountable, but at the same time, they don't hate him for it. You know, it's not like.
Who was the other guy?
I mean, I wanted, once Lane Kiffin's name was brought up, which I guess it was from the beginning, but I would have been excited for him just because it was big, like, you know, it's big news. When they hired Brian Harsin, I was just kind of like,
Who is this guy?
Yeah. And that's what I've been very nervous that was going to happen again.
But this is better than Brian Harsin.
Yeah, that's better than Harsin.
Yeah. But I just wanted something like, oh my God, look who Auburn just hired.
Right.
Like the players are through the roof, recruits are through the roof, everyone's pumped. And now I just feel like,
let's go.
Right. And now I just feel like, yes, some people might be excited, but I feel like the majority of people who are speaking out about it publicly aren't.
Well, you've been on our social media platforms all afternoon. There's a reaction. Everybody at Auburn fans are excited. Is it 50-50? What's the breakdown? What's some of the reaction you're seeing and hearing?
I'm seeing a lot of, for example, this morning I read something that Auburn was getting pushback from, I don't remember who, but they were getting pushback. It sounded like internally. So I'm like, that red flag in my eyes. If you're getting pushback from I don't know. And I mean, that might always happen, especially at Auburn, because you know how it is. But that's just, to me, I'm like, okay, so 4 hours ago, there was disagreement on this guy. And now, you know, like, why not sit back and wait? Like you were saying, what's the rush at this point?
Well, National Signing Day is coming up. That's one reason.
Well,
but
and the transfer portal. I mean,
Yeah.
like, you can't.
Like a few days.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's scared that you'll lose everybody in the transfer portal.
Like your team, your good players will leave, and you won't get anybody else's good players.
But like Cadillac, I feel like Cadillac could, for at least a little longer,
I think so, too.
maintain a face for the school.
I thought so too.
So I don't know. If he does a good job and starts winning, the players are excited, and
So you guys showed up 87,000 strong for a meaningless game when Carnell did his one game against loser Texas A&M, and it was such a beautiful day on the plains. Do you think you guys can reunite the family with Hugh Freeze? I mean, you seem broken this afternoon.
I am broken. I feel broken. I just think if the players, my thing is, I was so sad at the beginning of the season because the players seemed down. The players seemed not excited, not like they were having fun. And so that made me sad. So I'm like, okay, you see the potential of Auburn, you know, the former players talk about how great it is. And I'm like, these kids are not kids. I'm like the same age as them. But the players they don't look like they're having a good time. And that's really what makes me sad. And so when Cadillac came in and flipped the program, basically, you know, they really have nothing to play for the rest of the season, but they played because of he injected life back into the program. So if I walk into the stadium, the first home game next year, and everyone's on the field is as excited as they were on Cadillac's first game, then yes, I think it'll be great. But if recruiting doesn't go well, if players that are there right now aren't happy, then I just think that the fans are gonna not, or me personally, I'm just gonna be
Two
upset.
cones of concern.
Don't
here.
scrub those though, man. They make it awful.
two cones of concern.
Okay.
One, Hugh Freeze is your new coach at Auburn. Alabama basketball is now number 12, and Auburn basketball is 15.
Alabama's 11.
Alabama's 11, Auburn 15 in the new AP poll. Hugh Freeze is your football coach. Your biggest concern is
Hugh Freeze.
Is the Hugh Freeze, not that Alabama's passing you as a basketball school?
No.
That's all you have, man.
Yeah.
I'm about to turn in my 2 weeks notice. If you keep doing-
I'm kidding with you.
I'm just kidding. I would
It's
never.
gonna be a fun year.
But no, this is my concern right now because it's just, I feel like I just wanted someone very badly. And I know that not everyone's going to be happy. You can't please a group of people that big. But
What's your biggest knock on you?
the fact that half, or it seems like more than half, I don't know how many people are unhappy, but it just, that people don't seem happy with it.
Yeah, you think it's not going to be a unifying hire?
No, and I wanted it to be something like the beginning of the season was so depressing that I was like, okay, this is our time to bounce back. You know, if we make a big hire that people are excited about, and it will be nothing but positive energy going into next season. Now I feel like, and things could change. And
you wish that everybody had flooded out of their apartments and dorms, and Tumors
Rolled
was
to the
already
score.
rolled
Right.
today, and everybody was drinking, and announcement was coming tomorrow.
Exactly. And now,
party.
now people are like, Auburn students go to Auburn, the Auburn airport, and lay on the landing, whatever.
That's the
so he
dumbest
can't.
idea ever.
but-
Somebody suggesting to do that.
People are like, yeah, do not let this plane land. And I'm like, this is not what I wanted.
Yeah.
This is not what I
Wait,
envisioned.
is that happening out there?
No, people aren't doing. People, I just read it on
For the
Twitter.
record, though, Gene Chizik, people hated it.
People hated
National
Chizik.
championship.
They met Chizik at the airports. There was one guy screaming, "We wanted
Turner Gill.
Yeah.
Well, they wanted Turner Gill, who I don't even know if he's in football anymore.
He's not.
We won't something not losers. I can't remember what it was.
There was like 3-27. They
Yeah.
were changing. The other thing is, you guys remember this? Even Malzahn coming back, people were. It was.
Yeah, Malzahn was not. Yeah, it
In
wasn't.
year one, he
Yeah.
should have won.
Yeah, Malzahn was not 100%.
See, and that's why I'm saying he can change my mind. He can change my opinion, but right now it's just I don't feel like I have something to be excited about. And like his team is chanting, "Go to Auburn." I'm like, I want so.
Well, that's because they're getting their hell beat
Yeah,
out of
they-
New
But
Mexico
still,
State. Who, by the
if-
way, is on your schedule next year.
But also, if Cadillac was getting beat, well, he was getting beat. I mean, you know what I mean? It's not like people. No one's chanting Cadillac leave, because I just wanted it to be someone that people. I don't know.
I left one tree here to tell you one truth before it's over with.
He beat Nick Saban 2 times.
He did in a row.
Alabama fans more scared of Hugh Freeze than they would have been Lane Kiffin.
Okay, see, that's good, but at the same time, like it's internally at Auburn, it has to feel like a good hire before. Like, yeah, I guess that's a cherry on top, but I feel like we need a base, a foundation of people being excited before. Like, that isn't the
Tree
thing
of
that's going to
truth.
make people excited.
Tree of
Maybe
truth.
you just
Thank you.
decide that you're going to get behind a guy.
Yeah,
and give him a chance.
you got to give him a chance.
I will give him a chance. I will.
Yeah, gotta give him a chance.
I will.
Yeah.
I'll give him a chance, but I need to let myself.
Mourn.
Yes.
Okay.
I need to
Give it
mourn.
24 hours, and then you're on the Hugh Freeze band.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
a motivational speaker. Listen to her.
I'll be back. I'll
Do you
be.
have a pencil?
Dave says, Taylor, will you accept
I'll
this
give you
tree?
my earrings.
I don't accept the tree right now. I might tomorrow.
Craig says Bama fans are not scared of Freeze. I don't know if I would agree with what Dunaway said.
That was an expected reaction. I knew that was
I
coming.
don't know. I don't know. Lane Kiffin's more of the here and now than Freeze
Yeah.
is. I mean, Freeze called. I'm not gonna say call lightning in a bottle. He coached the games, but I mean those back-to-back wins. I don't know that resonates with Alabama
By the way, I'll
fans
take
anymore.
Auburn over Ole Miss for a
Lance will
second
take
next
Lance will take Auburn over Ole Miss for a steak straight.
I've already
up.
got one stake on this, but I'll take Ole Miss over Auburn.
Ole Miss over Auburn.
See, like that makes me feel even worse.
Why?
Oh, he's got Ole Miss.
Well, yeah.
No, wait, no. Okay, yeah, but
Lance
still.
has got Auburn.
I don't know. And now there's so much
Well, that's
time.
back at Jordan-Hare Stadium. That's advantage you.
I don't know.
Ugh.
Landmine Believer says I was scared more of Gus than Kiffin and Freeze. I mean, that's the thing. I don't think you hire a coach just because what he does against Alabama or Nick.
No,
Saban.
exactly. And that's why I'm like, when people
Yeah.
are trying to make Auburn feel better by this one stat, I'm like,
But
and
if you wanted a coach that could consistently beat Alabama, you fired that guy. Gus Malzahn was doing it every other year, basically.
but it's more than that. It's more than that. Like, yes,
I
that's a
know.
plus.
I agree completely.
But at the same time, it's like, okay, you can beat Alabama every season, but if you're not winning the rest of your game,
That's what I'm saying. You can't hire a guy. You got to hire a guy you think's the best coach. You can't hire him. And I'm not saying they hired Hugh Freeze because of his record against Nick Saban. I'm not saying that. But you can't convince me it didn't play into it.
Oh, that's right. If you tell me Hugh Freeze never beat Alabama when he's at Ole Miss, he's not even in the discussion.
Right. Jeff says, as a Bama fan, I was more scared of Lane Kiffin than Freeze, just saying. I just think Lane Kiffin was the here and now, and he never beat Nick Saban either. But if you think about it, back in 2020, his first year, that game was closer than the score would indicate. Alabama could not stop them. Now, Ole Miss never stopped Alabama. They scored every time they touched the football, literally.
Right.
The one of Bryant Denny was not close at all. This year, they've got ball in hand throwing in the end zone to win the game.
Yeah. I still feel like Brian
So does
Harsin.
everybody.
So I know everybody else did this.
Brian Harsin was closer to beating Nick Saban than Lane Kiffin's been.
I mean, it went to overtime. Yeah.
But do y'all think so? This might be a stupid question, but do y'all think how do you think that opposing fans would react if they did hire Deion? Do you think that would be a concern or no?
I don't know.
I mean, you worry what kind of roster can he assemble? I mean, that's what it comes down to, right? Who's got the better roster? Usually is the team that's going to win. Coaches are a lot alike. You know, the plays they call, how they call them, how they run their programs and such. Who's got the better roster? Nick Saban is the ultimate best recruiter and CEO of all time, the best recruiter of all time. And if Deion Sanders can get you 85 better players than anyone else, that's what scares me. Who can get you the best players?
But if he's getting good players where he is now, then what would
Y'all could have got Jimbo Fisher.
Right. He has the best
Jimbo
roster.
Fisher.
He doesn't have the best. He had the best
You can't
recruiting
manage
class.
them.
Dave says, Taylor, from one Auburn alum to another, I'm right there with you now. I'm open to giving him a chance to prove me otherwise.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm not against him. This wasn't what I was expecting. Going into the coaching search, I was like, this is our time.
The one thing that excited
huge.
you, NH3425 brought this up about him retaining Cadillac. You were very excited about that.
Yes.
In the lobby earlier.
Well, I think if he came in and the first thing he did was say that he wasn't keeping Cadillac, I think that's shooting yourself in the foot. He's what held the team together this year, and all the players love him. You've heard nothing but good things about him.
I like Cadillac. I respect him, but he was just so inexperienced. That was going to be.
Well, I didn't want him as.
But a lot of people did, and I just thought, like, I have a few hard and fast rules in life, and one of them is never make big decisions when you're
emotionally high.
You're emotional, good or bad, or tired.
Yeah, so don't try in that 2-week notice.
And Cadillac,
You're
coming off of the tough weekend. Cadillac was an emotional hire. You were emotional when you made that hire. If you step back and you say, all right, the guy was 2-2 as an interim coach, lost to the best team he played, beat the two worst teams he played, and then lost to Mississippi State. It was in the middle. What does his coaching resume look like? Well, it's very, very skinny.
Right.
I mean, the guy's barely been a college coach. And you compare that to other people, it just didn't measure up. And I love Carnell, right? But I mean, that was just not going to be a great.
Well, didn't he come out himself and say, I'm not ready?
I don't know if he said that.
Or not ready, but I think when he was asked about it I think it was I don't remember what game it was, but he was saying like it was never his dream to be. He didn't get into this to be a head coach. That's never been his dream. Yeah. So but I think keeping him on the team is good. I mean, he obviously has a good relationship with the players, and people being concerned about him overstepping his boundaries now. I can't remember who it was, but one of the players came out and said this is how he's always been, but everyone's seeing it now that he's leading the whole team, but with our little group of players that he's been coaching this whole time, this is how he's always been. So I was like, I don't think that he would ever take the spotlight away, really.
Justin said Hugh was so desperate to get back, he was told he had to keep Cadillac in order to get the job. I wouldn't doubt if that were a condition of employment for a guy like Hugh Freeze. And I don't think Kiffin would have gone for that. Not to say he wouldn't have kept Carnell, But I don't think Kiffin would have wanted to be told,
You
if
have
you want
to.
this job, you got to keep
He
him.
wanted the
I'm
autonomy.
sure-
I'm going to hire my
That's
staff,
right.
and if I choose to keep him.
Cohen did publicly say that
Yeah.
whoever's going to get this job, we want him to
Yeah,
get
Cohen
Yeah.
had already said that, but I think that would have been a breaking point for Kiffin. I think he wanted the autonomy of, if I want to keep him, I'll keep him,
That's right.
but I'm not going to be forced to hire him.
No coach wants to be told who's on their staff.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And
But
that's
now-
a bad first day on the job when somebody's telling you who's going to be on your staff.
But I'm sure Hugh Freeze would gladly have accepted that to get this job. That's how desperately he wanted to get back in the SEC. If Cohen had told him, we're going to hire you, but you got to keep Carnell, he'd have done it in a heartbeat. I guarantee he would have signed up. Or he might be, Brittany's right, he might be smart. Yeah, because
Oh,
this,
he would
That's-
have kept him regardless.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell him to keep him. He would have kept him.
yeah, because
I would have been just as mad.
Yeah, because Brittany's right. You immediately win over the fan base by keeping Carnell Williams, or at least you may not win them over, but it is a step in the
Yeah.
right direction.
It would have been disastrous if he didn't, because
Yeah.
people are already borderline about the hire, and if he came in and that was the first thing he did, I think it would have, I don't know, there would have been revolt in
Yeah.
Auburn. People would have been
But
revolted.
if you would have been excited about Dion and you had hired Dion and then he would have fired
Yeah, what if
Cadillac,
Dion had fired
what would you
Cadillac?
have
Yeah.
thought? You would have been pissed.
Yeah, you'd have been
Yeah, I
upset.
would have.
Yeah,
Like anybody that takes that job has
Yep.
to keep Cadillac.
Yeah.
You can't. You
And
can't
that's
do
also
it.
why I set myself up for failure, because I have all these standards that
Oh,
are
standards
unrealistic,
yeah. What
or
do you,
hopes.
yeah? What are your realistic goals as an Auburn alum for Hugh Freeze?
Well,
not realistic.
How many national championships? In
Well,
the next,
no, I
in the
think-
next 10 years.
If
Within the next few months, I would like to see the current players reacting well to the hire
okay,
publicly.
Right.
Or I mean, they don't have to, but you
They're
know what I
going
mean?
to. I mean, they're going to. There's no basis for them not to.
right.
Right,
Why would
but
I mean, you
they're-
were going to tell people this was a great job, whether it was or not. You didn't want to burn this bridge right out of the gate.
No. But one of the players already tweeted and said "whelp" or something with like a weird
but,
emoji. So I'm like, okay, that's
They
not
wanted
good.
Carnell. I
But
mean,
Robbie Ashford came out and said that
he'll
he's
do wonders
excited,
he'll do wonders for Robbie Ashford.
and he has so much
Yeah,
potential.
I
The touchdown
agree.
pass he threw in the
Ro-
Iron Bowl, I was like, what am I
Hey,
watching, and who is
No,
this
that was an
player?
incredible throw. Hugh Freeze will get the best out of Robbie Ashford.
See, and
Whatever
that's
the best
great.
Robbie Ashford is, Hugh Freeze will get it out of him.
That's great. See that, and then recruiting. I think if he starts bringing in recruits, I'll slowly.
But he recruited well at Ole Miss,
So
and it's all legal now.
that's my expectations before the next season starts. I just hope that our roster is strong or looks to be
Yeah.
strong.
Well, NH3425 agrees with you. He says, I just want to see us ranked top 10 nationally in recruiting again.
Yeah.
I think Hugh Freeze can get you there.
and then whenever this season starts.
Don't say he has to do it this year. I mean, he's been at Liberty and
but I
National
think
Signing Day is in a few days. So by next recruiting class in the top 10.
Yeah, he's just
I-
going to have to salvage what he can right here because all the good players are about to be gone.
Yeah, you portal.
That
It's
are-
portal
that
time. You want to do well in
Yeah.
the portal.
or
If you could ask you one question, what would
Yeah, if
it
you
be?
could ask Hugh one
There's
question.
a 5 out of 10 he's
Yeah.
on the show tomorrow, right?
I wouldn't say 5 out of 10
I
he's
would
on
go
the
5
show
out of
tomorrow.
10.
Oh, okay. Lance is going 50% he's
Yeah.
on
I
the
think
show
he'll be on the
tomorrow. Okay. If you could ask Hugh one question, you'd ask him what?
Well, you got to hold the truth tree when you do it.
Yeah, the truth. True.
this
If you
is
could ask
hard.
Hugh one question, what would you ask him?
Have you given up prostitutes?
Yes, that is a
Can I tell you
legitimate
No.
what
question.
his number one recruiting thing when he first meets a player? What he does?
Okay, hang on. I got
Please
a
do.
Brittany.
Brittany.
Hang on. Well,
Just jump up there.
Brittany knows
Yeah,
this
yeah,
because
yeah.
Brittany was
and
at
Brittany, your microphone. We've only got the 3 mics on here.
Brittany.
No,
Yep.
what am I
No,
doing?
take mine.
Just take
Taylor,
Taylor's
Taylor,
mic.
thanks for being with us.
Taylor, thank you for joining us. Brittany Wagner back with us, who
Hey, Taylor, you got my phone.
who Brittany in her time
Last chance you.
Last Chance You worked some with Hugh Freeze.
Yeah.
Brittany's going to rotate.
No,
me
this
now.
is what he does. when
Already-
Okay, so this is number 1. So when Hugh
Already on the
Freeze-
show today has been Lance Taylor and Taylor Corn. Remember the Roots and a musical guest, Taylor Swift, at the end of the show today. Now welcome in with her new movie.
All right, so Brittany, when Hugh Freeze
Yeah.
comes to recruit, his number 1 recruiting pitch is what?
It's not a recruiting pitch. Here's what he does. First thing he does when he meets a player in person is he asks them to see their ankles.
Their ankles?
Mhm.
Like I have
Your
to.
ankles.
Are you talking about escorts on Austin?
No.
He doesn't want ankles, so I have to
No.
here's my ankle, coach.
Ankles. He wants to see their ankle, or he wanted when he was recruiting our players, he wanted to see their ankles. I saw it live and in person multiple times. He says that that has never failed him. A player, you can tell how athletic a player is by how skinny their ankles are.
Really?
And that if a player has fat ankles, then they're not as athletic as
So
he needs them to be.
He's anti-cankles.
Anti-cankles.
That is wild.
He recruited a linebacker. Christian Russell is his name, but he was out of East Mississippi, and he was kind of I think somebody got hurt. He was he came in last minute to try to find a linebacker, which Christian ended up doing very well for Ole Miss. But I was standing in the hallway, and he was like, "Hey, dude, lift your pants leg up." And I'm standing there thinking, like, what the hell's going on? And Christian lifts his pants leg up, and he's like, "All right, we're good." And I was like, "Coach, what the heck was that about?" And he said, "Brittany, it's never failed me. If a player has skinny ankles, they're super athletic, and I need athletic guys on my team."
That is bizarre, Brittany.
Just saying.
Slightly pigeon-toed. I was told one time by an NFL scout at the Senior Bowl that you.
No, I agree with that.
Slightly pigeon-toed.
Slightly pigeon-toed.
If you see players whose feet turn out like
need
that.
skinny ankles.
I'm pigeon-toed and skinny.
Yeah.
Oh, athleticism
Yeah.
right here. Then, I don't know. Just saying.
Wow. That's great information, Brittany. But your dealings with him.
So you'll have a whole bunch of players with skinny ankles
at Auburn. Yeah, athletic.
That's why they make
skinny ankles.
athletic tape. You dealt with him though, personable
Yeah,
in a recruiting situation.
Yeah, he's really
tell
good.
us about his personality.
He's really good. I mean, he's
he's very open about his faith publicly. Is he that way with recruits? Okay.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, he was, I think, with players that were on his team that wanted that from him. Like, I had a player that needed that father figure, and Hugh very much was that to that guy, and then brought religion in that sense. However, I think that he look, here's the thing. I like both. I really like Lane Kiffin. I worked a lot with Lane Kiffin. I liked Hugh. I worked a lot with Hugh. After the fact, like after players were recruited and played for both coaches, I had more positive feedback from players that played for Hugh and then left after they were done, said, yeah, really liked the guy. My players that played for Lane didn't have quite the same thing to say.
Where was Lane at the time? At Tennessee?
FAU.
At FAU, okay.
And I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Like, who knows what the side of there's two sides to every story.
Right.
Who knows? Those players could have screwed that relationship up, and that's why they didn't like him, or they didn't get the playing time. But I didn't have very many people walk away from playing for Coach Freeze and say, like, it was a horrible experience.
Yeah.
Like, most of my players that played for him really liked him.
Well, I remember on Netflix, Rick Trickett's son was the quarterback's coach there. Didn't he go coach with Lane? Am I wrong about that? I may be wrong.
At FAU.
Yeah,
he did,
FAU,
yeah.
okay.
And now he's at Marshall. He's the OC at Marshall, and they beat
with Charles Huff.
Yeah, and
Okay.
they won. They beat this year
Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Dustin says my high school coach said skinny ankles, high calf muscles, like a racehorse. That's what he was looking for.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you got high calf muscles,
It's a
Lance? You
thing.
got skinny ankles? Yeah, look at Lance, some freaking athlete over there.
You know,
Laid out on the couch over
Suit
there.
him up, man.
I'm telling
I've
you.
always noticed when you and Lady Bird are running the park, y'all look the same from
high
the knees
calf
down.
muscles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How interesting. Do y'all not think it's interesting that Sexton represents both of them?
But that happens all the
He
time. Jimmy
represents so many
Sexton.
people.
I mean, it's like he's got both.
There's no
phones
doubt.
on both ears.
He's constantly playing
I
side
think
A
that's
against side B.
So interesting.
I mean, Sexton will, be negotiating a buyout for one of his guys in one job and negotiating the job for another one of his guys. I mean, he's just, when you represent that many people, you can't help but do it that way. But yeah, I mean.
But what it comes down to is he has developed such relationship with all the players who are the money people who are boosters and athletic directors. They're comfortable dealing with him. So even though they're firing one of his guys, they're okay hiring the next one of his guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
Is that who
next
we should
up-and-comer.
hire? Well, they should think back. Well, 2 years ago, you told me I should hire this guy.
But as Zach points out, think about it, it's a win-win for Sexton. He's going to get a
no
raise
doubt.
for, he got a raise for Kiffin,
Make him bounce.
and he's going to get a raise for Hugh Freeze.
That's right.
So yeah, I mean, he's constantly doing that.
Yeah,
Like the thing that worries me about Sexton has so many people that I just wonder, even if I've got a guy like Kiffin, did he just use Auburn, or I got a guy like Freeze, did he use me as a smokescreen or use Kiffin as a smokescreen to get him a raise? That's what I would worry. I don't think that's what happened this time. I think there was genuine interest by Kiffin, but I would be worried that.
Oh, it happens all the time, I bet.
Yeah,
Right.
that Sexton, he's got a legit guy he wants to put in my job, but he's also going to use my job to get 2 or 3 of his big guys raises.
Right.
You know,
I don't know who represents James Franklin.
I don't either. I think
But-
it's Sexton, but I'm not certain.
But James Franklin, for the last 3 years, his name, this is the first time his name has not been mentioned for a big job. And he's done an okay job at Penn State, but he's gotten a massive raise every year, or a raise every year, an extension, just because his name floats out there. And if we'd waited another week, I guarantee you James Franklin's name would have been in this by the end of the weekend.
Mentioned,
Yeah.
I'd heard it mentioned. Yeah, Jimmy Sexton represents Franklin. See,
Really?
yeah, but see, that's what would worry me is that he's got a guy that wants my job, but he's also going to use my job to get 2 or 3 of his guys
Well,
raises.
you go into the relationship knowing you can't
gotta have
fully
eyes
trust
open.
him.
Yeah, you got to have eyes open.
Yeah.
Like who does Lincoln Riley? Who represents Lincoln?
But don't.
This last year it was,
Ooh, I don't
think it's Jimmy Sexton.
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
I think it might be Trace Armstrong.
Yeah.
but it was
Could be Trace
USC was the James Franklin hire last year. Remember
Yeah.
that's what got him the raise at Penn State. Ooh,
Yeah, it was USC. Yeah.
early
Don't
on.
you think Kiffin ultimately has his sights on Alabama, and if he takes
Well,
Auburn, it screws him over?
No,
the
there's no
top?
doubt that he's not going to get the Alabama job if he takes Auburn. Trace Armstrong is Lincoln Riley. But I have been told by numerous people that Kiffin thinks he'd be on a short list if Saban left Alabama. I don't personally believe that if Saban left Alabama today, if Saban announced his retirement today, that Kiffin would even be considered.
He's delusional.
Now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, let Lane Kiffin continue to win and show that he's changed a little bit. Maybe so. And more of those people that don't like him in Tuscaloosa are out because those people are getting other jobs and things like
Right.
that.
But don't you think he's completely shooting himself in the foot if he?
Oh,
takes
yeah.
Auburn?
He would never do it if he
But
got the
Nick
overtime.
Saban won't hire the next coach, but he will recommend the next coach in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
The second coach after this next guy, not the one that follows him, but the one after that, that's when Kiffin could be in play.
Yeah.
I don't think Nick Saban will recommend Lane Kiffin as the next coach.
Well, but the next coach is.
That's right. Nick's not going to be.
You don't want to. It's the
That's right.
Sylvester Croom of.
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't
want to
be that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Good
right.
information, man. Taylor
Yep.
and Brittany brought
I
it.
know. Taylor, a distraught Auburn graduate, Brittany, a girl that has recruited
On the
with
inside.
on the inside. Skinny
Skinny
ankles.
ankles.
Skinny
I have
back
skinny
calf.
ankles, by the way. I'm suiting up for all.
Do you have high calf muscles?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know.
Such a Dunaway question, but I never.
Yeah,
he
Jim
never
just
gets
killed
the
it.
answer
Dunaway
to that.
cannot see my feet today because I need a pedicure so bad that it
Yes,
is
yeah.
grueling.
Lance said he noticed.
Lance is like, I
Yeah.
noticed that.
I got a
What
guy.
the hell?
I got a guy.
I know.
Yeah.
I asked you about toenails earlier.
I know. It's so bad. It's really bad.
It's okay. I'm not looking. Hey,
You are
we're going to be back live 9 o'clock tomorrow. Give us a thumbs up as always. Share all this, and we'll do a lot more at 9 o'clock tomorrow. I think Bo Wallace is going to be on the show.
I'm trying to get him.
Yeah,
Y'all. I'm
Brittany's
trying
friends
to
with
get
Bo
him.
Wallace. We'll find out what it was like to play for
Trying
Hugh
to get
Freeze. Lance says 50% chance he's got Hugh Freeze on the show tomorrow. We'll see about that. Brandon Marcello going to be with us. Clay Travis, we've got a lot coming up on the show tomorrow. 9 to 1. We'll see you on the next round. Have a great